Weigh-ins sometimes are routine, but other times get a little spicy. And we got that for the Mike Tyson-Jake Paul fight. Tyson seen slapping Paul in the face before he was restrained by his team. Iron Mike is set to take part in his first professional boxing match since 2005. It all goes down on Friday night from AT&T Stadium in Dallas. And for more, we welcome in CBS Sports boxing analyst Brian Campbell. In BC, I have to start with the theatrics at the weigh-in. What was your reaction to the Iron Mike slap heard around the world?
Look, the temperature just got raised in this room. I think in every room that was watching that. Love or hate this fight, this event, or the idea of Tyson doing this, this matchup needed this moment at Friday's weigh-in, especially one day after a very weird press conference where Mike Tyson just didn't seem to be into answering any questions. Maybe it's more understandable or explainable now based on his actions here. I read this easy. Mike Tyson dialing back into that destroyer, that diabolical mindset he used to have. Whether that actually means it could lift him as a 58-year-old into victory in this fight is another conversation. But I read this as Tyson getting in the head of Jake Paul, showing him that, hey, enough of the goofy hugs and all the laughs they had on the build to this fight. Now, for Tyson, it's war.
100%, man. He definitely could have slapped him earlier. I think it was like, I'm giving you a message, a little warning, so you can be prepared for what's to come on Friday. Now, all unnecessary drama aside, man, it's been nearly 2 decades since Tyson has fought in a professional boxing match. So what are your realistic expectations for the 58-year-old on Friday?
Well, look, obviously you saw him at the weigh-in. He's not your average 58-year-old by any means, not just physically, and he got into ridiculous shape for this, but mentally too. He's still that scary dude, right? But here's the deal on Mike. How long can he still be Iron Mike? That's what's going to dictate whether this goes really badly for him and this whole event goes down the tubes, or this somehow becomes a competitive, exciting fight. That part of your brain wants to talk yourself into believing that it could. If Tyson didn't have the exhibition match 4 years ago, peak pandemic against Roy Jones Jr., where he went 8 hard rounds, I don't think anybody, not even the state of Texas, would have sanctioned this already somewhat problematic and weird and difficult fight. But it really comes down to Tyson can be dangerous. He can have a puncher's chance, even with the 14-ounce gloves, for as long as he can keep up the pace against Jake. But what happens if Paul starts landing big punches? We saw Evander Holyfield at the same age of 58 just 3 years ago get battered in 1 round against MMA star Vitor Belfort. It's going to come down to, can Mike land the big one early? I love his mindset. I love the craziness. But we do have to be realistic here.
Right. He is 58. You know, he's not the Mike Tyson of 2 decades ago. And it's just something that you think Father Time could catch up to him, even though he's a much better fighter in his prime than Jake Paul. But he's 58, so he's no longer in his prime. Now, the internet loves themselves, BC, some viral moments. And I want you to imagine a scenario where Mike Tyson knocks out Jake Paul. What would it be like to witness that moment? And more importantly, what would the social media impact be of that video?
I mean, we use that term, it would break the internet. Like, nothing would compare to this. And forget combat sports, and this is like quasi-crossover combat sports, but yet they're really still going to fight in there. But, you know, you talk about pop culture celebrity moments, this would be wild. It would touch on so many areas. Remember when George Foreman knocked out Michael Moorer at age 45 in 1994? It'd be that times a lot more, which is wild to say because when Foreman did that, that was for the heavyweight championship of the world. This doesn't have those type of stakes. But if you followed Tyson's career closely, despite all the ups and downs and the times he was a pariah to both the sport, himself, and anyone else around him, he's a beloved character right now. The way his fight career ended, despite that Hall of Fame induction, the second half of his career, it was kind of shameful to see him out there at times. He wasn't anything close to his best. He had more meltdowns than breakthrough performances. I think there's a part of Mike that the reason why he took this on isn't just middle age, I'm bored, what do I do? It's, I think Mike wants to prove something to himself. And I think that's why you're going to get the very best of him. For how long can that be dangerous against a 27-year-old man who is a novice, asking Jake Paul? But Jake Paul can punch with the right hand. We have seen that in his matchups against many faded former MMA stars. It's what makes this matchup unique, though, Chris, is as much as I can sit here and try to act like I know, we don't know.
Nobody knows.
We got to tune in. We got to tune into this car wreck together and watch it. Maybe it goes great. I just hope, obviously, that Mike's health is first and foremost in everyone's minds.
100%. He said he's a born killer and that Jake Paul makes people think he's an actual killer. Very two different things, so we'll see how it all shakes out. Now, as for Jake Paul, BC, he's 10-1 in his career with 7 knockouts, including 4 straight wins after losing to Tommy Fury. What's at stake for Paul in this fight in your eyes, and what could be next for him after Tyson?
I think for Jake Paul, this is about how big can I make this. He never thought he could get something this big. I'm sure we never thought a fight like this could even ever come together, yet he made it. One thing about Jake Paul you can't take away, his work ethic, how hard he tries to make himself a quote-unquote legitimate, realistic boxer. He's obviously yet to take on those matchups to prove that. But in this side, this lane, what he's been able to do as a pay-per-view draw, it's monster and impressive. You know what his dream is? One, to win a world title and become quote-unquote legitimate. The other is to fight Canelo Alvarez. And while we used to laugh at that idea, you do have to wonder, what if Jake Paul knocks Mike Tyson out? And what if he stands over him and plays the pro wrestling heel? You don't think boxing, the fans, regular, traditional fans are going to pick, go, you know what? We need to get somebody from our clan up in the bullpen. How about Canelo to go knock him out? It's a massive fight that could happen, even though it's pretty ridiculous unto itself. But give Jake Paul credit. He makes you care. He's a psychologist. He's a marketer. He's a carnival barker. He's not a great boxer, but he's been good enough to get to this point. And he's got big cojones, as they say, to even sign on the dotted line for something as crazy as this.
Absolutely. And a lot of people, as you said, people love to watch him, whether they want him to succeed or in some other cases, they want him to fail and fail loudly. Now, Jake Paul, no surprise, is the heavy favorite. Tyson getting some nice plus money. What is your best bet for this fight, man?
My best bet is that it does not go the distance. This is an 8-round fight, only 2-minute rounds, right? 14-ounce gloves. But I have to believe that even though I believe Mike Tyson can have success early, I believe that he can actually win it. I mean, look at the betting odds. They're unnecessarily close. It's everybody wants to grab onto that. But how long can Mike really stay on this and do this? I think ultimately this fight gets stopped pretty soon once Mike gets into trouble. We saw what happened to Evander Holyfield. It wasn't that he was getting badly hurt. It's just the first punch Vitor Belfort landed to that 58-year-old. He never had his legs again. He was falling all over like he was on ice skates. As great a shape as Mike is in, you never know at this age. It's why we don't do this. Mike is a special case. He's going to be hot early. Jake's got to cover up and hold him. But I think Jake gets a stoppage. There is a lot of ways, however, though, that I think Mike can get a moral victory. Really just for being here, but either way, you got to take the under here. I can't see this going the distance.
I am mad at that, and when you look at this fight, man, it's going to be, as you said, a car wreck, and I cannot wait to watch it all unfold. Brian Campbell, thanks so much for the time, brother. And here's a look at how Jake Paul has fared during his past 5 fights. He's won 4 straight after his loss to Tommy Fury in February of 2023. Paul looking to make it 5 straight on Friday night in Dallas.